A Problem from Hell, America and the Age of Genocide by Samantha Power is a nonfiction work published by Basic Books in 2002, delving into America's failures in comprehending and effectively addressing genocides throughout the 20th century. This acclaimed book, which earned both the 2003 Pulitzer Prize for General Nonfiction and the J. Anthony Lucas Book Prize, critically examines the United States' responses, or lack thereof, to atrocities such as those in Iraq, Bosnia, Germany, and Kosovo. At the time of writing, Samantha Power, now the United States Ambassador to the United Nations in New York, was a professor of human rights practice at Harvard University's John F. Kennedy School of Government. Throughout the narrative, Power scrutinizes various instances of genocide and the insufficient reactions from the U.S. government. She highlights the efforts of dedicated activists in shaping international laws against genocide, including the establishment of the Genocide Convention. However, she underscores the frustratingly slow progress in implementing meaningful change, noting that it wasn't until the 1990s that international courts began prosecuting perpetrators. Power specifically emphasizes the alarming reality that many perpetrators of genocide remain free and unpunished in their own countries, despite existing laws prohibiting such atrocities. She points out the ease with which these criminals could be apprehended, adding to the urgency of addressing this issue. The book's first chapter examines the Armenian Genocide of 1915, illustrating how, even when nations like the U.S. were aware of the dangers facing Turkish Armenians, little effective action was taken. Mehmet Talat, the Interior Minister for Turkey, openly targeted Christian subjects, resulting in the execution of 250 Armenians in Constantinople. Armenians are forcibly sent to deportation camps in Syria, where many perish during transit. Power highlights the striking lack of response from both the United States and the international community, despite being aware of the unfolding tragedy. She then shifts focus to Raphael Lemkin, a young Polish Jew who raises questions about the impunity of figures like Talat for their actions. Lemkin, a former lawyer, attempts to address an international law conference about the alarming ascent of Hitler to power and proposes legislation to prevent similar catastrophic events. However, his efforts are thwarted, as he and others advocating for such laws are dismissed, even as the specter of war looms and the horrors of Hitler's death camps become widely known. It isn't until the conclusion of World War II and the liberation of the camps that the Allies finally confront these atrocities. Despite the hope that the international community will heed their calls for justice, the newly established International Tribunal focuses solely on prosecuting Nazi war crimes against state sovereignty, failing to hold individuals accountable for their heinous actions. While the indictments of this tribunal in 1945 include mentions of genocide in a legal context, the convictions themselves do not reflect this acknowledgement. Lemkin's proposed law eventually passes the UN General Assembly, but its effectiveness hinges on ratification by 20 UN member states, a requirement that is met. However, the United States, regrettably, does not ratify the law. Power then examines further instances of genocidal campaigns, such as the atrocities committed by the Khmer Rouge in Cambodia. She underscores Lemkin's observations regarding the interconnectedness of war and genocide, highlighting how these phenomena are often intertwined. Lemkin also draws connections between the reluctance of the United States to adopt genocide laws and its past interventions in regions like Cambodia and Vietnam. However, attitudes begin to shift by the early 1980s, with Power noting a growing openness to debating the Holocaust more candidly during this period. Interestingly, she also links the United States' interest in anti-genocide legislation with a growing recognition that their lack of cooperation tarnishes their international standing. Power's critique of U.S. motives for seeking change is evident. In the late 1980s, Saddam Hussein initiates brutal campaigns against the Kurds, resulting in widespread executions and forced displacement. Concurrently, Yugoslavia undergoes fragmentation into multiple smaller nations, each with minority populations, facing grave concerns for their safety. In the 1990s, moderate Rwandan politicians are executed, and the country teeters on the brink of chaos as its army vies for control. Towards the end of the Bosnian War, over 7,000 Muslims are brutally massacred in what stands as the largest atrocity since the Holocaust. Power offers brief glimpses into these tragedies and highlights the general lack of international intervention. Power then delves into the lengthy process of bringing perpetrators of crimes against humanity and genocide to justice, a process that extends well into the 1990s before any significant punishment is meted out. She attributes this delay largely to influential nations, such as the United States, failing to treat genocidal acts with the gravity they warrant until relatively recently. A Problem from Hell refrains from glorifying any individuals, but instead provides insight into the protracted struggle for change, spearheaded by advocates like Raphael Lemkin, before progress is achieved. Power's criticism of U.S. inaction and its complicity in witnessing these atrocities unfold is evident. While she stops short of squarely blaming the U.S. for these genocides, her stance is unmistakably clear. The reader is left with a somber reflection on whether future conflicts may similarly be driven by genocidal impulses or similar motives. I hope you found this video enjoyable. If so, please consider giving it a thumbs up and subscribing. Thank you.